For those of us on Zoom, we can't hear anything.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just getting set up here. So we'll be getting going in the next minute or two. Just give us a second.
Pairing.
All right, we're gonna get going here. So give it a bit. We just making sure our presenter has his slides jiving with our tech. So we're good.
All right.
Okay. What's going on, KW Visionaries? I trust all is fantastic. Your operating partner here, Brian Arahan. Thank you all for being here on our 2022 housing forecast. We've got a great audience in person and a great audience in Zoom. Just want to make sure that everybody's good. Obviously, for in person, we're gonna have some lunch. Zoom, we recommend that you have a bite to eat while so you don't feel left out. Just feed yourself. Make sure you do that. So I had an opportunity to meet Stephen. I don't know, man. How long has it been now? It's been years.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
And I want to say maybe 2016, 2017, and longer before that. I had heard about Stephen and his reports and his offerings, and was a subscriber of it. And you know, I love the format in it because you know it's very insightful information about what's going on in the marketplace, the content, as well as it's very easy for you to share with your clients in the way that your clients can understand what the opportunities are in the real estate market. And sometimes it's harder for us because you know we're on one side and they're on another, for us to explain in a good way what really is going on. And yet you know, Stephen has found a really great way to share that. And so I've seen him not only offer Orange County reports and then move over to LA County. Then, you know, now he's in the Empire with San Bernardino and Riverside County. And so in terms of his accuracy, he's one of the first guys that I can remember who said, you know what, hey, this COVID thing may not be what a lot of people are saying in regards to the foreclosure, market and, you know, doomsday, you know, preachers out there who were saying, oh, the sky is falling in real estate because of COVID. And he was one of the first guys to make sure that, you know, our agents like myself knew that, you know what, hey, this is not what it may seem and may not what, you know, a lot of these, what the media might be saying. And so we're very excited to have an opportunity to have Stephen with us today. He's going to be sharing his knowledge of what he's seen. He'll have a better introduction for himself than I do. And yet he'll share with a lot of why he does what he does, who it does it for, and more importantly, what that means for us as an agent base. So with that being said, let's give them a very warm KW Vision round of applause, and let's get it going.
I need to have the ability to share.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna go ahead and make you
Co-host.
co-host. That's the easy part, and you're good to go.
There we go.
Awesome.
Oh,
All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. And let's go for it.
sounds good. So we're good. How do we get
Audio
on that?
check there too. Everybody hear him on Zoom?
They can see it on there, but they can't see it on here.
Oh, yeah.
Flip it over. All right on. All righty. Sounds good. Let me make sure I can. Gotta start the first slide. All right. Weird seeing myself there. Cool. So there's gonna be a little bit of delay when I'm hitting this button. I try to figure out how to work this thing, but in the interest of time, we'll just get going. So I'm gonna start off with some winter fun photos. And this is your listing about 90 minutes after it goes live on the MLS. Or finally found a house in my price range. You get a full price offer in this market. Clients, we'd like to submit an offer on the property we saw 2 weeks ago. Fantastic, get in. Yeah, what do you mean best and final by 7 p.m.? My showing is at 6:30. Right, exactly. My 2021 real estate year in review. $5 million total volume, 45 homes sold, obviously someplace else, right? 10,000 offers written, 65 happy clients, 750 wine glasses chugged, and 500 panic attacks.
By the way, notice the difference between the 45 homes sold and the 65 happy clients, right? Maybe 20 didn't quite make the cut with us. Right? They found homes.
Yeah.
Maybe not with us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Why they drank a lot of wine.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna go through the listing agent. Yeah, thanks a lot. I've only been showing your house for the last 6 months, right? 50,000 offers. So get into my up there. My own introduction. That's me. Quantitative economics, decision sciences major from UC San Diego. That's in La Jolla. 30 years in the business. Orange County native, Cap Valley High School grad, 9 kids. Thank you. You're impressed, huh? Yeah, we're a Brady Bunch family. People call us that all the time, but Brady Bunch only had 6. 8 is enough, only had 8. We have 9. So I brought the 6 on the right. My wife brought the 2 in the upper left. We had them all the time. She adopted mine and I adopted hers. And then we had the guy in the lower left-hand corner who turned 4 in a couple weeks. Yeah, so big happy family. And our oldest daughter got married, so we have another kid. So it's all fun. We've been all over the press, from the Financial Times of London when Warren Buffett sold a house in Orange County to the New York Times and everywhere in between. And Reports on Housing, that is our company. It's your local real estate snapshot. It's really about delivering the strength and power of data to you guys. Who here subscribed to my report? Love it. See, this is why I've known him for a long time in Orange County, because that's where I started it. And a few years ago, I expanded out to San Bernardino, Riverside, LA, and San Diego. And I haven't been able to book that many gigs in San Bernardino because people don't know where I am. So it takes transplants from Orange County to understand it. That's it. Exactly. So I have a ton of subscribers along the coast. And now it's starting to pick up speed in San Bernardino, Riverside County. What it's about is data is power, because everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion about real estate. I don't know if even kids have an opinion about real estate. And but they can't refute real good, solid information. And that's what I'm bringing to everybody. And I'm not really focused on closed sales data because I really don't want to talk about what just happened in December, because we're already in 2022. So And there's been a lot going on to bunk up our market and our mentality and thinking since the day one of January 2022 this year. So instead, I'm going to focus on available number of homes right now today, not with backup, active, whatever they call it, active, accepting backups, whatever. It's inventory, available homes to show your buyers today. That's supply. And then we have demand. I take a snapshot of the last 30 days worth of escrow activity, new escrow activity. I look at that same metric. It's not all escrows, it's the last 30 days, because that'll tell me what's going on right now. If there's all of a sudden a change, I'll see it, or either way. And from supply and demand, I'm able to get you the speed of the market. That's what I call expected market time. It's market time. It beats the socks out of days on market. I'm not a fan of days on market. Days on market it has a gigantic lag. All of a sudden, a bunch of homes can come on the market. Days on market can shrink, but there's a whole bunch of homes on the market and demand slows. Expected market time should be through the roof, and yet days on market shows something different. So that's why I came up with this, because it happened in 2004 in Orange County and everywhere else. We had a whole bunch of homes come on the market in June of 2004. That's how long I've been doing the data. So it's going on 19 years now. So my reports are used for the listing presentation, for buyer consultations. It's to get price reductions. We're going to have to get price reductions down the road when our market eventually evolves. People think it's evolving right now. Not yet, but when it does, people need it for price reductions, because you guys have a lot of sellers that get ahead of their skis. And when they start overpricing, which everybody does, and the market slows down enough, we'll have a lot of people in need of price reduction. And then it's to get buyers off the fence. And it's just about closing more transactions. That's really what this is about, setting expectations. It puts the power back in your hands. And that's why we have over 3,000 subscribers in Southern California. And we have them that dot all over Southern California. I'm actually, the next one in May, we're going to be in the Bay Area. Next year, we're going to go to Maricopa County as well as Vegas. So we'll be out in anywhere where there's a short airplane flight. People go, why don't you go out to Texas and everywhere else to bring this kind of data, especially transplants? They come to Texas and they go, Stephen, we need your stuff. What's like it in our area? And there's nothing like what I do. What I have is completely unique, because I was in your shoes representing buyers and sellers for many years. I'm a real estate broker. I keep up the license. I represent no buyers, no sellers. I represented myself when I bought a house. Smart. I did it right before the big giant boom in 2019. I knew that I had to make a move, made a move up, and it was the smartest thing I ever did. So it felt like a genius, but my wife kept on saying, you're telling everybody buy now, let's go do that. So we did that. So the report so far, the most recent one for San Bernardino Riverside is called Unprecedented Start, and we'll get into what that means. And then the one that just came out yesterday for Orange County, Los Angeles, and San Diego is called Rising Rates versus No Inventory. I mean, that's pretty much what everybody's talking about right now. And I'm going to show you why I'm not yet concerned, and why there's still a lot of a fever pitch in the marketplace. It's going to take a higher rise in rates for it to really slow things down. So reportsonhousing.com, those are the people at home. This is where you go, and that's where you go to subscribe. And we have a bunch of links at the bottom of every report. These links are meant for you to print it out for a Microsoft Word, copy, cut, edit, paste, add your logo type of thing. We have a ton of Excel spreadsheets, excerpts for public-facing websites, social media blogs, infographics, and social media posts. We try to get you as much content as possible, and we're currently working on even more. I got it. Yeah, but I have to hit got it. There we go. Every 2 weeks, this puppy comes out. It's not the 1st and the 15th. It comes out every 2 weeks. So you're actually going to get 26 reports during a year. And the reason why I do it is because I have to do Thursdays. I have to crunch the number on Thursdays. That's my thing. It's 1st and 15th can fall on a Sunday or like a Monday, and the numbers look all jacked up because for various reasons. Thursday is when everything needs to look good. It needs to be in escrow or on the market by Thursday. That's why I've always crunched it on Thursday. So, oh, and now I got to hit one more thing. Sorry. Bear with me for a second. Oops. So it's $15 per month or $150 per year. It's insanely cheap on purpose so that you think twice about your drinking Starbucks or something like that. And it costs you like $8. You go there twice and you've paid for my report. You get a month free if you sign up today utilizing this. For the people at home, we'll figure out something for you. But that's I have those forms here for you guys to fill out if you want to sign up today. So let's talk about housing crash. Everybody's talking about housing crash. It's like the dumbest topic in the world. Because I've been talking about it since we went into this pandemic that we're not going to have a housing crash. Even agents are convinced that we're going to have a housing crash. I've heard it from lots of agents, especially when we first went into the pandemic, like I said. But this is me. I'm a quantitative economic decision sciences major. I am a complete nerd, geek out on. I was listening the entire time here to different blogs and various people talking about economics, because there's a big thing that happened yesterday with Federal Reserve. Wanted to hear different takes on it. Is everything that I expected, but I still want to hear what the extremes of what people thought or what they thought they could have said and they should have said. And I love geeking out on statistics. This is me all night long. I could do it all night long. I could put you to sleep talking about economics. That's how much fun I have. And this is a cockpit of a jet. I don't know how to fly this thing. I'm sure most of you don't either. Nobody pretends and gets into that seat right there and pretends to fly this plane. That would be silly. We'd crash, right? See, there's way too many instruments. I don't understand it. But this is my cockpit. And it has a ton of instruments. I don't look at just one thing. I look at a myriad of other, plenty of things. And yet everybody wants to sit in my chair and claim that they're a housing analyst. It's pretty much what it is. I'm a soccer coach. I'm a soccer referee. I love soccer. And I have people come up to me all the time. Just to talk about various things. They talk about housing. They don't even know I'm in the housing market, and they'll tell me what's going to happen. And it drives me nuts. I've had so many people say it's going to crash for years. That's the biggest thing that people like to say just to get the conversation going. So I wish people didn't, but everybody does. Everybody has an opinion on it. As a matter of fact, there's plenty of YouTube channels and also TikTok 3-minute little videos telling you how everything is going to implode. And the millennials on down, they really believe in the TikTok stuff. And it drives me nuts. I'm going, how in the world can you present the housing crash in 3 minutes? Just seriously, makes zero sense to me. You have to do a real presentation on it. It has to be more than one thing that you talk about. Yet that's what they do. They focus on one thing typically, and it's typically investors that have made it big, or they're on YouTube clickbait. There's this one guy that is, I can't remember his name, but he's on there all the time, and he's getting more and more followers because people are dying for this market to change, and that's what they're rooting for. On the backs of what? Higher interest rates? Show me what that payment looks like. What are they waiting for? So we have interest rates of 4.5% or something like that. Do the math on what that payment is versus if you got in right now at where interest rates are before it tumbles. So just because they're wearing a suit doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. Look at their credentials. I can tell you they're not housing analysts, all of them. So there's a ton of social media misinformation out there. And so I'm just asking everybody to please just not listen to them. And when they do, just send them my stuff. I've got stuff on YouTube. I don't have the giant 250,000 people or 300,000 people that listen to my stuff. And yet what I have is real content. It's backed up by statistics and data and all that stuff. And just know that they need to go there. And I talk about everything. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can see it's reports on housing on YouTube. It's also Facebook, our pages, reports on housing. So get that to your clients when they start to say dumb, ridiculous things, because I refute it all the time. I'm going to start my live Facebook. I always go dormant during the holidays. And then come February, mid-February, I start them up again. So, and you'll get plenty of emails regarding all that stuff when it comes on. But home values are skyrocketing, right? And home values are going up like crazy. Case-Shiller just dumped their thing. I just heard somebody today say it's Case-Shiller index. So it's a bunch of junk. I don't understand when they say things like that. They don't back up what they're saying, because the biggest thing that I don't like about Case-Shiller is that they just released November. So November, and it's a reflection of the prior 3 months. There's a giant lag to this. It's now at 18%. I think by the time it's done, it's going to make its way down to about 17%. But I'm telling you what I know right now is there's so few homes on the market that values are skyrocketing again. And it's not going to pick this thing up until we'll get January's in March, we'll get February in April, and by then it's already done. So I already know what it's going to say before it's going to say it. But here's what the Case-Shiller, if you roll this thing in, and you can see this is 2012, 2013. We went up to about 15% appreciation. That's what this line is right here. But in 2013, all of a sudden it did an about face and appreciation slowed. By the time we got to the end of 2013, we got back down to 5% appreciation. Not a buyer's market. That's negative. That's down here. That's what everybody says. Well, it slows down. It's going to be a buyer's market. No, it just means it's going to be, this is an insane market. This is a hot seller's market. And it's been a hot seller's market for years until we got to the pandemic at the beginning. Did it ever go negative? No, I knew it would not. It just affected us a little bit and then it went there. So, but why did this go down? Because we had interest rates that rose in 2013. It was the beginning of the taper tantrum. And I'll show you what those interest rates looked like before. I was hoping that we'd get interest rates that were going to go higher. It did not happen last year at all. So instead, we continued to go up till we got to just under 20% appreciation year over year for the United States. It's come down and now it's at 18%. So it's come all the way down to 18%. That's November. So
real quick, Steve, you said something there. You're hoping that the interest rates, went up a little bit. In your mindset, what would that do for the general consumer?
What it will do is it will slow down our marketplace. And that's what I have exact slides and exact replicas show you what happened in 2013, 2018, when we had interest rates rise enough to slow things down. Has it risen enough since this year? It's only gone up 0.5%. It's not enough. It's really not enough. It has to float all the way up past 4%. And when I'm talking percentage and all this, I'm talking with 1 point. And the reason I do that is because that's what Freddie Mac does. They have this survey that goes back 51 years, and it's with 1 point. And the reason why I have to do it with 1 point, so I'm talking about the same interest rate, because some lenders are going, no, it's at 3 3/4%, not 3.5%. No, it's 3.5% with 1 point. And because way back when you used to buy a house, you had to pay 1 point, and you had to put down 20%. We now know today you don't have to put down 20%, and you don't have to pay points either. Just the interest rate fluctuates based on that. Yeah. What's that? The amount of what? Yes. Yeah, well, new builds are actually, you have to be careful what you read, the statistics that they're following, because they're looking at different pieces of the build, because they have all the permits. The problem is once they have permits, it's actually counted as inventory. But if they don't, what they're doing is they're pulling those out, and then they're just talking about the stuff that's actually being built. So the stuff that's actually being built and sitting is down to the 1930s, but the stuff that's in contract and is currently being built or is permitted is huge. So, and actually the numbers of it's giant. But if you're buying a brand new home, be prepared for that thing to be constantly delayed because of the supply chain issues. I know I've heard plenty of buyers talk about how I was going to close then, and it's going to be then, and then. My dentist, he's been postponed for about 120 days, 4 months. So, and he finally is about to move in. He thinks that's, but you have to be careful with what you read. Statistics can not tell the truth completely. So that one kind of is very, very misleading, because they still have a lot of stuff under contract and stuff, and their build rate is where it needs to be. It's just, it wasn't there after the Great Recession for many years, but now it's finally where it needs to be, and it's not going to improve. I don't care how you legislate it. You're not going to legislate builders to build. They're only going to answer to Wall Street. So builders completely, that's why I don't really focus on new homes, but I focus on residential resale, which is what we pretty much do anyway, because they're not going to make more regardless of how we legislate them. So there's a lot of fear in the marketplace. And the fear is with the values going up so much, they remember the Great Recession. Either I was burned or my family was burned or a friend or clients. You knew somebody that was burned during the Great Recession. It touched just about everybody's lives, and a lot of people were unemployed because of it. So that was a deep, deep recession. It was unemployment. Their unemployment skyrocketed and stayed elevated for years, which is why we had the downturn. In order for values to come down, we have to have unemployment rise. We have the opposite problem, which I'll show you in a second. So that, as far as being burned, that's what everybody remembers, and they don't want to buy at the top of the market. I keep on hearing this over and over again, the top of the market, top of the market, top of the market. It drives me nuts. It really does, because they think that it's going to do an about face like it did prior to the Great Recession as a big bubble. And I hear this bubble talk all the time. It drives me crazy because it's not a bubble. And I can prove it over and over and over again. So this is what a bubble looks like. This is what we had. We had a credit bubble. Prior to the Great Recession, you could see that skyrocketing up. How many people got purchase applications put in? So they were looking to purchase. It was skyrocketing like crazy prior to the Great Recession. As a matter of fact, there were 2 dogs across the United States that got loans. Dogs. They don't really have social security numbers. They're dogs. And then there's a lot of dead people that got loans as well. These are the people that they use dead people's social security numbers and actually able to purchase with those dead people with their social security. So that's a problem. There was a lot of fraud and everything else going on. And that's a credit bubble. We knew it because everybody was buying their houses with adjustable rate mortgages at the end too. Are there a lot of adjustable rate mortgages right now? It's a tiny little portion of the whole entire thing. So you have to look at this bubble wave that they're talking about. They're comparing it to this, which is a bunch of junk, and this is what we've been dealing with. It's been slowly going up. And why is it going up slowly but surely? Because there are more first-time home buyers. Millennials are buying like nobody else's business right now, but they are having a hard time buying, and it continues to go up slowly but surely, not skyrocketing up because of fraud. And this is a boring trend line. That's what I like to find, are boring trend lines. This is good. This is healthy. It got really negative at the beginning of the pandemic, and then went really high afterwards, and then came down here, and it's been seesawing around there, going back to trend. That's what it does. That's what it likes to do. And mortgage originations by credit score. If you look at the left, you see the mixed bag of credit that we're purchasing homes. Do you see it? That's ugly. Versus here, this is 780, 760 plus credit scores. The vast majority of buyers are people with good credit, good jobs. They're not going anywhere. They love their payments, and they're not going to move anytime soon. If anything was to turn even slightly, we'd have the inventory problem continue. And that's because we have Darwinism going on, survival of the fittest. If you have 50 offers, you're going to take the one that's the fittest, right? So the fittest are the dominant ones with the good credit scores and really good jobs, the ones winning with big bank accounts. That's who's been winning across the United States. It's setting up a very powerful housing stock that's going to have a hard time deflating. So supply and demand, I could see it like a giant old locomotive coming at us before the Great Recession. I knew there was a problem early. For all those people that said, yeah, people just thought it was pie in the sky and everything was good, I knew there was a problem, and it was called unsold inventory. And in Orange County, I have this thing going all the way back to 2004. So I don't have enough data going back. I have it going back to 2012. So I have to go to California Association of Realtors Unsold Inventory Index, and I downloaded their facts and put this right here. This shows you kind of their unsold inventory is not as accurate as what I put out, but this unsold inventory index is at an all-time low right now. This doesn't reflect it because I haven't done the latest. That was July 2021, but it's really low right now. But this was 2005. I could see that we had a problem in 2005 when we went from an unsold inventory of about, during 2005, we had about 2.5. And then by the end of the year, we had over 5 months. And then in 2006, we went from 5 months all the way up to here, and that was about 10 months. And then in 2007, we went from about 8.5 or 9.5 months unsold inventory all the way up to 25 months unsold inventory. This is San Bernardino County. You guys can remember that is a lot of, this is 2 years, 25 months. That's over 2 years. Got that? This is where we are today. You see that? That's an issue. That's pretty much an issue. So Great Recession, over 40% of all mortgages had less than 10% equity. Get this one. 28% of all mortgages were fully underwater. Fully underwater. That's more than 1 out of every 4, 28%. And everybody likes to talk about forbearance. I've been talking about this since it started. And I knew this was a great plan. This plan was going to work, and it did. And this is what it did. Forbearance just continues to drop week after week. This is actually a couple of weeks ago. It got down to $705,000 people across the United States currently in forbearance. I'm gonna get to that. That word, I can, wherever that voice came from. 93% have 10% plus equity. 93% have 10% equity. That means that if push comes to shove, they can sell. So, and understand this, there are some people that are in defaults right now that if you look at it, they actually have enough to sell. So you need to look at all defaults. That's just a hint for you guys. But 93% have 10% plus equity because actually values have been going up faster than the mortgage payments that they've been skipping. That's what's been happening. So 4.3 million in June of 2020 was the height. The maximum number of people was June of 2020. 7.7 million people have gone into forbearance. So what happened to them coming out? Well, Black Knight does this great thing. They took the month of January off, so my data is like 45 days old, but you'll get the point. They're doing it the first week of February, which is coming up. Can't wait. They're going to have this thing updated. So 6.7 million people that they figured that exited forbearance when they did this at the time. Check this out. What happened to them? What happened to them is 4 million, 59% are performing. Either they paid it in a lump sum, or they did an installment plan, or they deferred it to the end. They worked with the workout unit and figured out what to do, or they sold their house or got a refinance. But refinance, you have to pay it off and then refinance. So, but that's 28%. 28% plus 59 is 87%. Either paid off or are performing. That's the vast majority, right? What about the rest of them? Well, a number of them were in the workout unit. Can't wait to see what happened to these people. I know that they went into those two quadrants because a whole bunch of people came out of forbearance at the end of the year. The last like 60, 80 days of the year, a ton of people did. That thing kept on ratcheting down to below 1 million. It used to be above, it was like 1.2, then it got down to 1, then it got down to like 700,000. So this one grew like crazy. 8% are working with the workout unit to figure out what they're going to do. And then you have another 264,000 that are truly delinquent, and no longer working with workout unit. That is across the United States. That is 4%. The number that are currently in foreclosure, which foreclosure numbers are at all-time lows, just about 38,000. And they've turned back on the ability to foreclose, but we have 38,000 across the United States. That's like nothing because the United States is large. Because people go, is that California? No, it's the United States. That number. So foreclosures, no wave. It's not a wave of foreclosures. I just showed you the numbers. No wave. I've had people still argue after I show them the numbers. I'm going, it's because you probably dealt with short sales in the past. And yes, that's exactly. They want it to come back. I know I am dealing with a workout unit, and they definitely said, an asset management company, there's going to be a wave of foreclosures. I've been hearing this for years, even after the Great Recession, I heard it, and it's not true. Numbers don't lie. People do when they make up stuff, and they're not housing analysts. And so there's not going to be a bubble, and it's not going to be a crash because the housing stock, I told you, is really strong. People have good jobs, good credit that are buying houses. Do you think that all of a sudden they're going to be moving? If this thing were to turn a little bit, do you think they're going to place their home on the market and put it at a discount? No, they're in love with their loan right now. Their mortgage amount payment on a monthly basis, they love, right? Why would they move? Makes no sense. Rents are going up. What are they going to go buy? Where is this inventory going to come from? This is what I like to ask people when they start doing that. Don't get into speech and debate thing with me because I took debate in high school. I'm sure you can imagine I'm very passionate about housing and economics. That's all I do. That's all I breathe and live and eat. This is unhealthy, this market. That's all I can say. This market's unhealthy. I'm tired of saying it's unhealthy. It is. It's like Super Bowl eating every single day. And it's getting old. It's like the second half Super Bowl eating. Who likes to eat a lot during the second half of the Super Bowl? You don't want to really eat one more bite of that chili cheese dip. That's unhealthy. And you're doing that all day long, every day. That's unhealthy. That's all I can come up with. I'm sorry. I can't say that it's a bubble because I just don't see it. Don't see it yet because I track a lot of different things, and I'll get into what that is. But where are rates headed? Well, this was as of this morning. Finally, we hit this and we plateaued at the 3.5%. That's where we're at right now. So we did this giant thing. So what happened was COVID-19 started here, March 2020. We dipped way down. And matter of fact, this is 2.65% beginning of January last year was the lowest of all time. We hit 17 record lows. And then we played around. I was really happy here, and then it went down, and then finally started to increase at the end of this year, or the end of last year. So it's the highest level since March of 2020. So we're pretty much to pre-COVID days is really what it was, because we're comparing it to this little jump right here. So really, it should be here. The housing, the financial engine of the market, when it first went into COVID, actually broke, and interest rates rose, even though the 10-year treasury went way down. There was a number of reasons why that happened. So pretty much we're at pre-COVID days at 3.5%. And you could see this is phenomenal. Well, I was actually really happy this happened. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to sell more housing reports when this market gets a little more funkier. Because the whole last year was like, oh, put my home on the market, boom. If you had a buyer, yeah, it kept on going up, 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 up. What else could I say? So you draw a line across, that's where we are right now. And people are going, what's going on, Steve? What is going on? So I've got answers for you. Omicron and inflation was what we were dealing with from about October on. Everything was boring prior to October. Then things started getting a little more heated. And then Federal Reserve said, we're going to start to taper. Things got a little goofy. So people were worried about inflation, but then Omicron, they were worried about two different opposite things. Omicron makes the rates go down, inflation makes rates go up. And then we all had it priced in, we had it all figured out, and that's why it was seesawing around a certain level. We got to 3%, and it was kind of hanging at 3%. August, we were at 2.77%. So you could see interest rates were a little higher. Then Fed came in and they mucked things up a little bit. And that was in December, they mucked things up. And I can get into exactly what happened. So like I said, it was boring. Why am I following the 10-year treasury? Anybody look at this thing every day? Come on, you guys. Geek out with me. This is fun. Because what happens with 10-year treasuries, it's the same appetite for the investor as 30-year mortgages. That's why people say 10-year. But 30-year mortgage thing, you don't get really pretty graphs like this. It's just not as pretty. If you look at the 10-year and know exactly what's going to happen. By the way, the 10-year has been falling ever since 1981, where it hit 18% interest rates. We had 10-year treasuries at 15% back then. During COVID, we got down to less than 1% for 10-year treasuries. So, and it follows interest rates. It's the same thing. So boring, but you know, this is actually close to what it was today. It's actually when this was today. It went a little bit lower by the time it closed. And that means when it went a little bit lower, it's been hanging right around that same level, which is 3.5%. Or if you're putting down no points, 3.75%. But so this was last year. It was I was very excited, and then it went down, and then it went up, and then it was kind of a boring year. And then we had this in October on. This was that thing where I told you where we had this Omicron issue against inflation. And then all of a sudden we had this, boom, at the start of this year. It actually started the week before the end of the year. And what happened was the Fed met, and there was stuff that was leaked, and Wall Street Journal had a report that came out this first Tuesday, business day of the year, that was leaked the day before, and the market all of a sudden reacted to it. And so there's been a lot of volatility, and it's because you know, they were calling it not transitory. They started changing their tune in November. They really changed their tune in December when they met. So it's not transitory, means it's not temporary. This inflation thing is going to be around a little bit. And now, because they were calling it temporary for so long, and then at the end of the year said, okay, we changed our mind. Now they're doing something called the hurry up offense. Because they're behind the 8 ball. They should have been making plans before. They're too late to the party. And now they're trying to throw a Hail Mary and hope that they can thread the needle to slow down inflation, yet not derail our economy at the same time. So that's what's kind of going on right now. And there was massive intervention. And I'm just going to show you this, what happened, what they announced in December, just so you understand. This is when mortgage-backed securities, when they first started doing it, buying mortgage-backed securities for the first time ever. It was called quantitative easing. They did this, and then it brought stability to the market, and interest rates went down lower, and everybody was happy, kumbaya, because we had a problem with people wanting to buy mortgage-backed securities because of all the junk we did with subprime. And so then they started doing it, no problem, we'll do it. And then they stopped, and then they did it again, and then they tapered. This was 2013. They talked about it in 2013, didn't really end it till the end of 2013 did they really do it, but then it was flat. What this is the mortgage, this is the Federal Reserve's balance sheets. And so after this, they were flat for a long time. But then it started to go down over here. This is where they announced it. It was 2017 they started doing this. It's called draining the balance sheet. If you've heard what they said, the Federal Reserve said that we want to bring our reserves down. This is the big announcement that we weren't expecting. I thought it was going to happen a year from now. I actually had to change my forecast based upon what they said by 1/4 of a point in interest rates, because I thought it was going to be a year from now. Because by the time that they went flat, and they were flat for a long time, it took them 3 years to do it, where they started to drain it. And what I mean by drain, people are going, what are you talking about, Stephen? Well, the Fed announced their taper. They started in October. They were doing $40 billion per month, brand new mortgage-backed securities. They were buying it. And they were playing so heavily that it was yawn. That's why the interest rates didn't really change much on a day-to-day basis. Then when they went from 40 to 30 to 20 to 10 to 0 in March, 0 in March. So now they're going to buy no more brand new mortgage-backed securities. They say that. That's called the tapering. They're no longer going to commit to buying new. But the problem is what happens when you refinance your home or you sell your home and now they get that money back? They're going, we don't want this money back. We're going to put it right back in the system. It's called reinvesting it. So they reinvest it. And yet now they're saying that they want to drain it. So they were reinvesting at the tune of between 50 and $70 billion per month. They were actually playing harder in the reinvestment stuff because it's all the mortgages that their people are paying off, or they slowly paying off, they're making mortgage payments, or they sell their house or refinance, they get that money back. They were just putting it right back in the system at a tune way higher than what they were doing on a monthly basis. So it was huge. But now this took them 3 years, like I said, last time to do it. Guess what? They're going to start. This is what was announced. They're going to do it. They said after they do the first rate change, which is in March, which means that we could get it as early as March. I'm thinking now it's April, maybe June. It doesn't matter. They're still going to do it early, way earlier than what they've done, what they did last time. And what they did with this quantitative easing and tightening, they'd never done before. So they did it before and they put it this playbook, and we're going, okay, they're going to follow that playbook. Maybe they'll do this a little bit earlier, not right away. So now they're doing everything. They're going to raise the short-term federal fund rate. Did you hear that? That's credit card debt and automobile loans. That doesn't have to do with anything that we do in this loan, in this room. That's short-term rates. And then they're going to, they brought this thing down to 0 by March, and then they're going to do this draining thing. So they're doing a whole bunch of things all at once. So because they announced it, that's where we went from 3% to 3.5%, and now it's been digested. And that's why we're stuck at this 3.5% right now. It's going to take something additional for us to continue to go towards 4%. Maybe inflation gets out of hand further or something like that. So we'll have to watch that. But everything's been kind of expectation with inflation now. Inflation is an indefinite issue, and COVID made everything worse and discombobulated across the board. And people talk about it all the time. It's this supply chain problem. It's a real issue. It's not just one thing. It's not just this. It's not just the boats, which I go to Starbucks. I have a different lid on my Starbucks now because they can't get lids off the boats. They didn't have sriracha for a long time. There's a lot of different things. So they're all sitting there on boats. But this is only part of it. Trucks are another problem. The factories are a problem. Shipments and all that. There's so many angles of this thing that's broken. It's just broken. It's broken, and it's going to take this whole year to fix it for this part of the supply chain. And it just has to do with supply and demand. Demand has been, it was up a little bit because of all the money we gave everybody, but that money is gone. But it's just about the same demand as normal. The problem is supply is so low. So when you have low supply and you have a lot of demand, sounds like what we are dealing with here, right? In housing. And this microchip, holy smokes, this microchip is a real issue. And the microchip companies don't want to make them for the automobile companies. They don't want to make them because they're so antiquated, the old school stuff. They don't make any money on those chips, so they don't want to make them. So these automobile companies have to build their own now. And so that's the issue. So the only one that already was building them before was what? Tesla. So Tesla, did you see their stock yet? What it's been doing or what their earnings are? Because they can sell cars. And this is the issue, is these new cars and buying used cars is a big piece of this giant issue, as well as rental cars. So rental cars got rid of all their fleets at the beginning of the pandemic. Then now that everything's going, they go, okay, we want to buy new cars again, but they couldn't buy new cars because they couldn't make chips. You see the problem? Across the board, all those things skyrocketed. They're a big piece of the problem. And then let's throw in gas. Good. I drive a Yukon XL, and good thing I went to my place. It now goes up to $125 before it shuts off. I'm very happy with that. Ticked me off when that thing shut off at 100. 125, I feel like a winner. Ding. Yeah. So the unemployment rate, this is what am I really concerned about? What am I really concerned about is this job market thing. People are talking about unemployment. This thing is the fastest on record expansion after the or a fix to a recession. The fastest on record is what we've been dealing with right now, because we had a forced shutdown of the economy, turn it back on, fastest on record, period. Get that. So, and you could see that in the data. This is 2000. This is unemployment from the Great Recession. See this? I mean, it took us forever to get back down. Look at this. This was way up here, way down here. Look at, we're down over here. And as a matter of fact, right now it's at January 2019 levels, 3.9 million. I really don't care about unemployment right now. And people go, yeah, there's a lot of housewives that had to stay at home, and there's the baby boomers that left, and the number of people that are looking for employment or that actually employed is way down. I don't really care about all that stuff, because I could see in the numbers that we have a bigger problem. And because we have such a problem, people are quitting like crazy because they can go find a job that pays more, like nobody before. And if you're running a company, you're going, gosh, I have to keep my employees in order to do this. I might have to pay them more, things like that. So we're seeing an elevation in that, this great resignation. This job openings, you see this, over 10 million job openings. This is a problem. This is like nothing we've ever seen, and it's hanging right around here. It got up to like 11 million and been bobbing right over here. This is really high. Highest ever. Job openings outnumber jobless in tight US labor market. There's 0.7 people for every that are looking for a job for every job available. Do you understand that? When we went into the pandemic, there was like 7, or no, it was over here. 5 for every person looking for there was 5 people for every job open. Then it got down to 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it's less than 1 person for every job opening. You don't have a less than 1 person that can fill all these jobs. So what we have is a problem. This is the lowest ever. Another problem. Do you see this problem? I was talking about this last year early on, because I was going, I don't really care about the supply chain. I care about this, supply of people. And this is the real pressure behind inflation that the Fed's worried about, that I'm worried about. And so that's what we have to see, is this thing get realigned. And part of this has to do with goods coming over here and getting more goods and getting our shelves stocked again. So it's going to take the better part of this year for us to go back towards a somewhat normal. The best hedge against inflation is what we do, real estate. And so interest rates this year are going to be between 3 and 3.75% with a point. So, which means between 3.25 and 4, but 3 to 3.75%. And we're at 3.5 right now. So there's still room for this thing to go up, but I don't think it's going to go up much more than that 3.75%. Because you have to understand, that's a real hard ceiling. You have to get the 10-year above 2%, and the 10-year has been falling for years, like I said, since 1981, and it's getting harder and harder for it to get that high. So interest rates are going to remain low. As a matter of fact, I can actually plausibly tell you in the next decade, we're going to be dealing with interest rates that are forever going to be in the 2s. That's it. So it's going to make things more, people going, whoa, we're never going to be able to sell again. That's what people were saying for years. I've heard that since I got into the business. It was the inventory was slowly but surely going down over time, matched up with, and then we went into the pandemic, and then very few people came on the market. So inventory became a real problem in the middle of the pandemic. And I said, this thing is going to be bad. Because then we had interest rates going down. I go, these interest rates are looking too delicious, way too good. They got to record lows, record low, record low, record low. Please, 17 record lows. As an economist, you're going, this is a problem. It's enough where everybody was hearing about it. It's enough to get people thinking about it. And we were stuck in our houses going, I don't want to live here, or I want to own. I no longer want to live with mom, dad. I no longer want to live in my multiple roommate situation. That's millennials, by the way. They want to go, I'm going to go find this gal. She's pretty. I've been hanging out with her. I'm going to marry her and we're going to have babies. That's what they were doing. So that's what's going on. And so that you get enough of that going on, and it was inviting a lot of demand. Yet inventory was already a problem prior to the pandemic. It became a real problem during the pandemic, just like supply chain. And that is what brings us to where we are today. Know that the lower the interest rate, the more insane the market. We're already insane. 3.5%, we're still insane because we started off the year with very few homes in the market, put us really behind the 8 ball. And as we get to 3 3/4 market, we're going to eventually get towards the seller's market. If it maintains at these levels between 3.5 and 3.75, it will decelerate a little bit, but it will take time. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like what happened with interest rates at the beginning of the year. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to happen that quickly. The housing market, talk about that. The housing market is insane, very much insane. And it's a supply and demand problem. We had a supply glut prior to the Great Recession. We have what I refer to now as a supply catastrophe. That's what we're dealing with right now. And there's seasonality. It's not once every 10 years does our market all of a sudden change. That's a bunch of bunk people have been saying for years. Doesn't exist. Instead, there's something I can rely on, and it's called seasonality. That's the kind of economic force that we're dealing with that you can rely on, except for 2020. Because of COVID, it really messed up our whole entire year. But this is what happens. Spring is the best. The number one month for homes coming on the market, what do you think it is? Very close. It's not March, because March is still winter for most of it. May. May is the number one month for homes coming on the market for all markets. Except for there's certain ones like Big Bear and things like that that do a little bit different. But number one is spring with May, and it's also when demand peaks. Then you get to the second, then that's because it's all revolves around families. When can the kids move? During the summer. Well, why are you talking about the spring? It's got a place in escrow so you can close when? During the summer, right? So they get out of school now really early. So it's like June 1st that they're out of school. So you can close June on. You put the home on the market in May, perfect time to move is June, right? So spring is the best. Second is summer, because now you got the kids. I got a whole bunch of kids with me. They're a distraction. We go to the beach, we go to the pool, they want to go to Starbucks, and then we go on vacation, all that stuff, right? And so there's distraction. So actually demand comes down a little bit and inventory goes up. And then you got the autumn market. That's where kids go back to school. It slows down a little bit more. And then you get to the holiday market. That's where everything plunges. And then the absolute slowest month for homes coming on the market, number one is December. Number two is November. And January is not a great month. It's in the bottom. It's typically in the bottom 5. And then we get to the winter market, which that's what we're in right now. This is where we get to Super Bowl and everybody goes, you got to come on the market. The market's absolutely great. Well, it's actually really good right now. Why isn't everybody coming on the market right now? Because it's not what? Spring. It's when inventory is flat, everything that comes on the market pretty much like a revolving door and goes right into escrow right now, especially right now. So that's why we tell them right around Super Bowl, come on the market. It's always like this because people don't want to come on now. They want to come on the market when? Spring, May. They're going to go, yeah, come on. You should come on the market right now. It's so good right now. It's just Super Bowl. This is always the best time of year to come on. They go, I'm not coming on the market now. I want to come on the market in May. And now you know why. We say the same thing every year as agents. I hear it over. Got to come on the market now. And we try to give excuses as to why. San Bernardino Supply. This is for you guys. This is where we are right here. You guys are the only county that's doing this. It's actually lower last year at this time. So this is contrary to what you think, but here we are, January 13th, we're at 2,043 homes. It's down 1%. We're down 22 homes in a 2-week period. I took it at the very end of December. So actually, you see that? So this is this year, this is last year, only market. And then Orange County, Los Angeles, and San Diego counties all had record low that I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, in Orange County, there were 965 homes in the market for all of Orange County. So you get to see how low that is. But I'm going to tell you still, 2043 is still ridiculous. Last year we were at 1784. Last year was more ridiculous than where you are right now today. So congratulations to San Bernardino. Yes, 3-year average, 4,951. This is prior to COVID, 2017, 18, 19. I take those 3 years so you can compare where we were at the beginning of the year right now at this time. 4,951 is where we should have been. That's 142% more, which means almost 2.5 times where we are today. That's okay. Orange County, the 3-year average, 4 times. That's how low Orange County is. Orange County is the silliest county right now. San Diego's like a close second. Today we're at 1,993. That's down 2% from January 13th. So we're going the wrong direction. Seriously, guys. I don't know what the problem is. That's what we did last year. We did the same thing. We did that in 2019 too. It's not normal. That's not normally how the market is supposed to behave. And I don't have enough years to show you what normal is for San Bernardino. That's not normal. But where do I think we're going to go from here? We're going to go down slightly. And then once we get to right around spring, March, it starts to go up. And yet, if we have, and this is, and it'll peak right here between July and the second week of August. That's a normal peak. Summer. And we continue to go up. We do it every year. Typically, it actually should have gone up like this, but this is what we're probably going to do. Now, if interest rates continue to go up, which I don't think they are from here, but if they do, instead we'll get this. We'll get liftoff. And we'll get it going even higher. So now you know why am I, what's that? And there's not actually, UC did a great study. They did it earlier in the year last year, and they said that really there are fewer people coming in than normal, and not normal. There's been this trend of fewer people coming in, and the number of exits has been slowly but surely going up. People are leaving California and cashing out. And then they said at the beginning of the year, and then they released something in December, and they said COVID has really discombobulated things. People are cashing out and going everywhere else in the United States. Just taking their money and going, I'm going to go buy myself a palace and a yard and everything else. I think that's what COVID did to California. So that's kind of an issue. And so this is what I'm actually hoping for. I'm hoping for interest rates to go up. I don't think it's going to happen. Where are all the homes? I want you guys to know in San Bernardino County, you guys are by far have the fewest number of homes coming on the market compared to prior to COVID. Compared to the number of homes that came on prior to COVID, you guys are missing 12,000 homes for the 2 years. And it was bad last year and it was bad the year before. And San Diego's second worst, they have 12% fewer, but it has actually affected the number of closed sales. And Orange County and Los Angeles, and even San Diego County, they had their most closed sales since 2005. You guys had the most closed sales since 2016. And only because you're missing these people that could have gone into escrow. So all of a sudden, a bunch of homeowners said, I'm not moving. And people thought it was because of COVID. CAR kept on asking us, do you have somebody that's not selling because of COVID? And that's not really what the right question is. If you dig down deep enough, really why people weren't selling is because where in the world am I going to go? Where am I going to go? And that's what's been keeping people in their home. So where will I go? And they're more than happy to sit back like a fat cat and watch their values continue to rise. They check Zillow every month. Pun intended, thank you. Thank you, appreciate that. San Bernardino demand, nutty, absolutely nutty. And the fuel are these low interest rates. 3.5% still a good interest rate. Yeah.
We had a question in the chat. Why would inventory increase when interest rates increase? Is what somebody was asking. I know you kind of.
Yeah, and then I got a chart that actually shows when it actually did happen. What ends up happening is interest rates go up enough, like a full percent. When they go up enough, it's enough where buyers just go, peace, I'm out of here. I'm not going to buy. So then you get demand starts to come down. And so it's slowing down a bit. You can actually feel it in the marketplace. And then you have a bunch of homeowners that continue to overprice and sit and linger. And then we have, and so with demand coming down, you have the inventory rising, you have market times getting longer. So it's taking longer to sell houses. So now you know why I'm rooting for interest rates to go higher. It's the only thing that's going to slow this puppy down, or we get to the point where values are so high that people can't afford them anymore. And I do that as well. I check that as well. We're not there yet.
Stephen, do you think that, I mean, based on where it's going, it'll be more of a, have and have not scenario around housing?
Gosh
Where
darn, yes.
Pricing gets so crazy that if you didn't already own a home, you may not be able to buy one because, or you didn't have significant savings, so that you won't be able to buy a property. What are your thoughts?
Yes and no. Yes, at the current interest rate level, but as interest rates go down the road, then you can. And there's a lot of millennials that are dual income households. So they have dual income and they have two healthy households. I've talked to lots of lenders. This whole story about millennials not being able to purchase was a joke. I knew it was a joke from the beginning. And it certainly is, because they are buying, and guess what? They're getting help too. From mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt. They're getting lots of money being thrown at them in order to make things work all over the place. Because people are living longer and they're sitting in their houses with mounds of equity. They paid off their house. Might as well give a little bit of the equity to Junior so Junior can buy a house, that type of thing. That's been going on. And these low interest rates are continuing to fuel things. FHA government I should have done it for you guys, but you guys are at 647.2. That's the baseline conforming limit has gone all the way up to 647,000 the beginning of 2022. And in Orange County and Los Angeles, all the way up to 970,800 loan amount, which means you could do $100 million and put 3.5% down. Congratulations. And people are saying, that's terrible. And I listen to economists say it too, and that's terrible. I go, dude, do you remember my parents in 1972 purchased a home for $12,000, and they stretched to make it, and they were like going, I don't know if we're going to be able to make the payment. Can you imagine? I'll show you what the big difference is. Incomes as well. Incomes were way different back then, and interest rates were higher. So stop looking at just the price and look at where interest rates are at and incomes. Jonathan Lansner, who writes for Orange County Register and writes for the Inland Empire, put something out. He has this bubble metrics. He said 4 bubbles. 4 bubbles because of the fact that payments are as high as they were prior to the Great Recession, or right at the end. I'm sitting there going, yeah. And incomes were like 35% less. They're way different. In Orange County, it was at $68,000, and now it's at $102,000 is the median household income. Do you see a big difference? And interest rates are way different. So he's focusing on one thing, and that was it. And that's why he's just looking at payments. So
real quick, what do you think that might do in the event that San Bernardino and Riverside County caught up to some of those higher loan limits? For whatever reason, we don't have the loan limit.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is in Orange County, if you want to buy a tract house, it's $1 million. That's it. So how are you going to afford that $1 million? And that's people going, that's $1 million, because we can't get out of our head that it's 7 figures. But I just gave you the example of the $12,000 house that it now goes for $1 million over time. It got there. So we got to stop focusing on price and look at payments and where things are going in the long run and where incomes are and things like that. Because we do have a 2% every year inflation that has been pretty until recently. Now inflation's a lot higher. That's where it was, 2% for a long time. Not anymore. Don't worry, we'll reel that puppy back in. It'll be 2% in 2023. You can mark my words. So there we go. Everything right now, I know everything is selling for above asking price and like an auction-like atmosphere. And I could see it in the data, and I didn't care what anybody said. I go, I have the data in front of me. Every time I trust in the data and not what people say, the data wins. And I know that that's what's going on right now. You guys are dealing with multiple offer situations on most everything that comes on, unless it's grotesquely overpriced. And everything as a result selling for over asking. I just got this morning. This is from California Association of Realtors for the month of December. All closed sales. The number that sold, I forgot to put this up here. Darn it. It's supposed to light up so you could see this. But it got down to 58% of all homes are selling above their asking price. It was at 70% of all homes in the state of California in May, June, and July. 70% plus were selling above their asking price. All price ranges throughout California. Prior to the pandemic, 40% was the highest. We're at 70%. And it drilled its way down all the way to 58%. The last, it was 59% in November, 58% in December. No big deal, because these are closed sales. This is actually cyclical. People said the market's slowing down. No, this is a cycle. Guess what's going to happen in January and February? Closed sales. It's going to start to go back up, and it's going to get to 70% plus by the time I think we get to March closed sales. That's because I can sense it in the marketplace based on what's going on. Oh, and the percentage, the median time on the market is 12 days for everything that closed in December. And the sales list price ratio is 101.2. And this is drilled down from, it got all the way up to 102.3. Now it's going to go right back up because I know that things are selling for at least 2% above their asking price. Right? And that's how fast the values are going up right now. 2% per month. San Bernardino County demand year over year, last 30 days worth of escrow activity on January 13th, 1,672, actually went down 7% from the end of 2021. It dropped, shed 131 pending sales. Last year at this time, we were at 1,877, which is 12% higher. So a little bit higher. But get this, the 3-year average prior to COVID, 16% less than where we are today. So we're doing better than we were prior to COVID, and yet we have muted number of homes on the market, muted number of homes coming on the market, and yet you're still doing a lot. Today, we're at 1,769. I took it this morning. That's 6% higher than where we were on January 13th. So it's going the right direction. It's going up. And then where do I think it's going to go from here? Well, typically we peak between April and the middle of or end of May, and then the kids start getting out of school. And this is really the summer market begins right here, because then kids are with us. So things slow down in the number. And that's where we typically peak. So where we're going to go is we're going to go up, and then we're going to go over and then peak. It'll be slightly up, but that up is where it starts to scream from now through the end of February. It just screams up, and then it goes kind of up flat. And then, but this is what, if we have interest rates that continue to go up, it won't go up at as big of a rate, and it will be a bit muted compared to where we are if we stay at 3.5%. So that's what I'm actually hoping for, because we do need that a little bit. I know that this cuts into how much we make for a bit, but we have to do some sort of a change in order to change our market. And so how fast is this market moving? On January 13th, this is expected market time. You place your home on the market, when are you opening up escrow? That's based upon the supply and number of recent escrows. And the January 13th, you're at 37 days. It actually went up 3 days from the end of December, always does it at the beginning of the year. Last year, we were at 29 days. So it was actually faster last year. Only county, you guys are the only county that's slower than last year. And 3-year average is 107 days prior to COVID. That's actually balanced. That's like, doesn't favor buyers or sellers at the very beginning of the year. It's kind of like a yawn type of thing. And then today we're at 34 days. So now you guys are going down. It's getting hotter, and it will continue to get hotter. The lowest reading ever was on February 25th of 2020, 18 days. In February last year, you guys were, it was absolutely insane nuts. I've never seen anything in the teens. Congratulations, you guys were first to do it. You guys went where no man or woman has ever gone before. So if you look at this, the speedometer, the lower the number, the faster we're going. So the speedometer is a little bit backwards, because if you got to 0 day expected market time, that would be insanely fast, right? But even right here, this is hot. Then you get to slide sellers, this is balanced. That was the Great Recession. We were going so slow, and it was an expected market time of, remember, it was over 2 years. That was equivalent of going 2 miles per hour, and values were plummeting. And you, way over here, values are going up like crazy. And this is a slight seller's market between 60 and 90 days. That's where we were in 2019. It was the carryover from 2018 when we got up to 5% interest rates. It made a lot of extra inventory, which when you have a lot of inventory, it means that values don't go up as fast. That's what happened in 2019. And then when you get to below 60 days, that's where we've been behaving for a long time. And then below 40 days, I had to make this up last year. Anything below 40 days is insane. Congratulations. We've been in insanity since July of 2020. You guys have been dealing with an insane market. And where's it going to go from here? It's going to go down. It's going to get more insane until we get to March, and then it will start to go up a little bit from there. And that's what we did last year. And then, but where, if we have interest rates that continue to go up, it's just going to be flat. and then we'll start to get a rise. That's why I'm rooting for rates to go up. You understand? So San Bernardino County, Chino Hills is an 18-day expected market time. It's actually, you guys are hotter right now than you were last year. I think you guys are close enough to Orange County where you've caught their insanity cold. We were already insane, and you guys are really insane in Chino Hills. Congrats. Chino is at 18 days. It's not a typo. They're both at 18 days. Ontario is at 40 days. They're the only ones that were off from last year. Last year at this time, they were at 28. I don't understand what's going on in Ontario. It means they have a lot more homes on the market than they have going into escrow. Just a short blip right now. We'll see if that continues. Uplands at 16 days. Rancho Cucamonga is at 21 days. Rupa Valley, I know we're getting into Riverside, that's 27 days. And then Norco, 10 days. Heck, I had to put this on here. I know this is a different report, the Riverside report, but 10 days. How about Yorba Linda? That's Orange County report, 13 days. See, welcome to our party in Orange County. 13 days is dumb. Any 18 days is dumb. This whole entire market is just absolutely insane. Home values are going up. I can tell by the days on market that they're just screaming upward. And I don't see a top to this. I don't see an end to it. When I do, I'll let you know, because I can't wait. I've talked about cracks in the market. I've been doing this since 2004. There's been many cracks. I've talked about cracks in the market and I've explained why, but I don't see them yet. When I do, I'll let you know. So when will the market slow? We've already said it. It's when interest rates rise, right? And this was 2013 and this is 2018. We had interest rates that went from 3 3/8% all the way up to 4.5%. That's a big rise. That was 2013. It was enough to slow everything down. We had a number of homes on the market go from 3,000 to 4,700 homes, 4,600 homes. And in 2018, remember that we got going from 4% to 5% interest rates. That slowed things down. All the millennials were telling me 5%, that's a ridiculous rate. In my history, that wasn't, but they were right. 5% was a ridiculous rate. And we went from 4% to 5%, and we went from 4,000 homes all the way to 7,500 homes and peaked way over here. This is called Thanksgiving peak. Remember I told you guys we peaked during the summer? When we peak late in the fall, it means something's wrong with the market, and it was interest rates. That was what the problem was. But then interest rates started to dive back down at the end of the year, and we got right back down to lower interest rates, and it fixed itself real fast. So we need rates to rise. And there's this affordability issue. People are saying, yeah, things are unaffordable. No, it's less affordable. And there's a mortgage rate sensitivity. Here's a history lesson, especially for the younger folk in this room. 10% interest rate was the year 1990. That was the average interest rate. I told you 18% in 1981. Well, 10% in 1990, 8% was the year 2000. My first interest rate was 9% in 95. 6.35% was prior to the Great Recession. These are all, we can never see these interest rates right now, right? It would totally kill our market, but don't worry, they're not going there and they won't. 5% interest rates, that was we saw that 2018. 4% interest rate, that's the new ceiling that we're at. But if we keep on going up in value and incomes don't keep up with values going up as fast as they are, then it will be 3.75%. Or if it keeps on going up, then it'll be 3.5%, which is where we're at right now. We just can't have values to continue to skyrocket like they are, or we're going to bring down this. We brought it from 5 to 4. We can keep on going down, because if you could imagine, if we go into interest rates of 4.25%, it would really slow things down. With no points, it would be 4.5%. Wouldn't that slow things down right now? Absolutely. So that's because they'll do their math and they'll go, I'm not buying. I'm not going to buy. And then you get the inventory coming up and the market slowing down. And that's kind of why I'm rooting for higher rates. Market overview. This is millennials. There's a big demographic patch of first-time home buyers that we've never seen before. First-time home buyers, 32-year-olds. It started 2 years ago. Last year was bigger. This year will be even bigger, and it will go for the next 2 years. So millennials are buying like nobody else's business. It's really up there. So know that they're a big part of extra demand right now, and they'll continue to be elevated for the next couple of years. And then number of the closed sales is the most sales since 2016. That's the red line. And then luxury has absolutely been surging. This is 650,000 plus homes, and you're now going 650,000, Stephen. That doesn't get you what it did before. That's not luxury. It was the beginning of January 1st of 2021, but things changed, because this is how many closed sales we did above 650,000. All of a sudden we did a few. Did anybody do 650,000 plus? in this marketplace? Yeah, because that's what this marketplace is doing. Doing 650, it's a big portion of the pie of the overall market. As a matter of fact, this was 2020, the green line, the red line is 2021. That's the number of closed sales above 650. Look at what you guys were doing before. You guys weren't selling properties above 650. Now look at everybody's selling properties above 650,000. It's a record level. As a matter of fact, your luxury level has changed. Congrats. It went from 650,000 to 800,000. Good. Now luxury is 800,000 plus for San Bernardino County. Congratulations, because that's where Riverside is as well. And Orange County and Los Angeles went to 2 million. 2 million plus is luxury there. It went from 1.5 to 2. And San Diego County went from 1.25 to 1.5 million.
Steven, real quick, what would you consider luxury?
Luxury is the top 10% of the marketplace. That's what I'm looking at, the top 10% of all closed sales. That's how I define it. And in Santa Barbara, it went from, what is it, 3,750,000 is what it was at. Now it's 4.5 million plus. Santa Barbara, luxury. Yeah, that's my personal view of top. I have other people in luxury markets that go, it's higher than that. Really? You need to go someplace else, like Midwest, and go, holy snot. Top 10% is a lot. And that means 90% happen below it. I'm talking just the top 10% is the cream, right? That's pretty much what I refer to as luxury. But last year it started to sound dumb in like Orange County. I was saying 1.5 billion. People go, I sold like 5 of them last week, you know. So there you go. Now it's $2 million. And the price ranges you guys can see, you guys are hot. Everything below $1 million. Anything below 60 is hot. Remember, below 40 is insane. So everything below 800 is insane. Except for the 0 to 300,000, which I think that's a different caliber home in San Bernardino County. I can't quite put my finger on it. You guys don't have a lot of townhomes. Million plus is at 65 days. That's it, 65 days. That's pretty fast. So high cost of renting, rents are skyrocketing. They will continue to skyrocket this year, another 8% at least for the whole year, at least. Going to keep up with residential. And that's why they need to purchase and fix their payment forever for 30 years, right? So yeah, at least go buy a rental and then go rent something else or do something. That's what I try to tell everybody. I rents and then say, hey, wait, now you're getting ahead because we're about to forecast. There is some, in some areas it is. There's rent control in San Francisco where some people, it's so bad in San Francisco. There's like a $3.5 million house example of the same people because they've never moved are paying $1,800 per month. In Santa Monica too. So that's the reverse part of rent control that's actually unhealthy. There's rent control is good to a certain degree. There's this happy medium.
There's some loopholes on that too for like the big players and commercial.
Yeah,
the
in
bigger
some
restaurants.
area, in San Francisco, you're not gonna. They've cut all that stuff out as much as possible.
I was going to ask, what would you have said the average increase in rents have been over the last, whatever, decade or so?
Yeah, and you can see that's in that I can't go backwards in that one chart. Yeah, it's been slow and methodical. It goes up like that slow methodical 3 to 5% kind of matching with what's going on with values. And it could be as low as 2. During the Great Recession, it went down. It never really went negative. It just kind of went, maybe a little bit, went down a tiny bit, didn't do what everything else did. And then there's a lag effect as values started going up in 2012. It took a while for it to really start to come up, but it did. There's a lag to it. But they're definitely going up. I don't know, did anybody look to see what the rents are doing locally of some house that you saw before and you see what it's going for now and you go, oh, wow, seriously. So the 2022 forecast, yeah, quite know where we're going from here. So I know you guys are looking at me. Room, I'm the guy with the crystal ball. All that buildup, here you go. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's around this corner. Why do I say this? I've had this on my slide for years because I always go, you don't know what's lurking around the corner. Boy, was I right in 2020, right? In 2019, I was saying, you don't know what's lurking around the corner. Some uncertainty there, right? Because who knew about COVID Because people are calling for a recession. They were right. We had the shortest recession on record, 2 months. That's how long that recession lasted. So that was not really a recession. 2 months. That's what happens when you shut down the economy completely. COVID-19 variants, who saw this coming? I heard executives tell me, yeah, Stephen, like they're scientists. After Delta, we're done. And I'm going, really? Seriously? I don't pretend to have a science degree. A lot of people pretend that they have a quantitative economics degree. And apparently everybody thinks that they're like scientists as well. And they all have opinions on this stuff. And I'm going, I don't know nothing about mutation of anything, right? Does anybody know anything about that? Nor do I want to. I got out in physics when I failed a physics class, went to pass, no pass, dropped it. And so I still maintained my GPA. COVID-19 variants, that's what I'm worried about. I don't know if we're going to have something beyond. Who knew what Omicron was? I didn't even know it was a letter of the Greek alphabet. I learned one, Omicron. What's that? Yeah, see? Exactly. Rates remain too low. That's a concern of mine. How about Washington, D.C. and the Federal Reserve? Can they mess with our markets? Did they? Yes, they have. They just say a couple things. The next thing, the market's going woo, 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 whoa, all over the place. Man, and all those people with Bitcoin, they're not used to these kind of fluctuations. They're used to just up, up, up. And what's this? What? I didn't sign up for this. Wages rise too fast. Buyer fatigue. I have to write reports all the time about buyer fatigue or getting them back into the center ring. So I think it's a smart move. Values rise too fast. That's a concern of mine. And then unrealistic sellers. You're going to be stuck with these people. Once this market turns a little bit, good luck reeling them in because they're like chasing every dollar. How come my home hasn't sold? It's been in the market for like 2 weeks. Nice expectations, right? Get used to that. That's coming. What did you do this last week? You should be holding this house open every single day. Spotlights in front of the house. Distress rises slightly, no wave. It's going to go from like 1 to like 10, and they can then say 1,000% increase in distress, but it's 10 is still low compared to where we were even prior to the pandemic. So I will be bringing that to my housing report. I haven't even been able to talk that much about distress because it doesn't exist. I've just done giant reports about why there's going to be no wave. So be careful with percentages. It'll look dumb, but we're not going to have that many foreclosures and short sales. Normal housing seasons, that's where we have spring is the best, not right after Super Bowl. And then summer. First half will be hot due to limited inventory. We're feeling it right now. And then second half slower with higher rates. Doesn't that seem a little realistic? And then I'll get you a copy of it. I'm sorry, I'm going so fast. Lots of slides to get. Low inventory to start the year. I knew that you're the only one that didn't have a record. I take that back. Riverside did not have a record low either. They're close. San Bernardino, you guys have more homes in the market than last year. But still very low level. Rise in inventory eclipsing 4,000 homes. That's not enough for your market, but it's the step in the right direction. It's where we need to be. And this will come towards the second half of the year. Demand recent pending sales will be down slightly year over year. And then closed sales down 3 to 6%. So last year was a good year. So it's going to be between 2020 and 2021. Luxury continues to soar, but slightly muted compared to 2021 as year progresses. So, and when there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of where there's a lot of volatility in the market, that affects luxury. Just know that luxury doesn't like volatility. And increase in move up sellers, that's as we get more homes on the market, there will be more domino transactions. Buyers motivated by low rates, but not as willing to stretch as we get more homes on the market, interest rates rise a little bit more. Appreciation in 2022, up 8 to 10%. We're doing most of it at the beginning of the year. Like January, I can guarantee you the numbers that you're placing into escrow, it's going to be 2% appreciation for everything that's in escrow. And it's going to go like that for the first few months, 2, adds up to 6 real fast. Then through the next few months, it'll add up to another 2. And then for the second half of the year, we're not going to get a lot of appreciation. Interest rates between 3 and 3/4%. And so you go to reportsonhousing.com, you click on subscribe, and $15 per month or $150 per year. You get a month free if you sign up utilizing this sheet. And I am starting this, I think it's February like 11th or 12th or something, that second Friday in February, where you can go to facebook.com reports on housing, or go to YouTube reports on housing. That's my handle. And I will have a live presentation. and my kids are involved in it. You'll see a lot of my kids do little cameo performances, and I've got kids that like to perform. But I like to bring you the latest and greatest, and then I have a whole bunch of YouTube articles or videos that you can then go to refute all the junk that you guys are seeing constantly. So I can open up to questions and answers, and also and then anybody want to subscribe to the report, seeing how
And also, your reports are going out every other week, right? I mean,
Yeah.
So you're keep me up to date. So I appreciate that.
yeah, and really just test drive it. It's a month free. It means that if you don't like it on day 29, cancel it and you will pay nothing. And the reason why you want to subscribe is because it really is an arsenal, a tool in your arsenal that will help you in talking to your buyers, sellers, family, friends. Oh, mail out the whole entire thing, door knock with it, have it at your open houses, get it in front of every buyer, every seller, that type of thing. There's a ton of charts that I update, and I do it so that it's inexpensive. Orange County, it took off for a long time because I worked for a company, that's where I started it. And then I left that company, and then I monetized the report. And then I had more and more people that subscribed to it. 2,000 of the 3,000 subscribers come from Orange County. And pretty much if you don't have the report in Orange County, it puts you behind the 8 ball, because somebody that's going to be interviewed, if you're a multiple interview situation, is going to have it. And people use it all the time. They say people say it's the easiest $15 they ever spent. Because I have people that are brand new in the business, they've never done a single transaction, to people that have done lots of transactions that say it works for them.
So Stephen, what I do with your reports is I subscribe to all your accounts. Right? So what I do is I take that and I send that to the clients, and I'm saying, hey, we're the SoCal experts, right? Because that allows us to because we're putting out your information and we're answering questions about everything that's going on overall in SoCal, and that helps us generate referrals, so that way we can refer other agents in other areas, and everything flows through us. So that's something that we've done that's been great, just showing that we have content on most of SoCal. So that's when you go up north.
He is one of less than 20 subscribers that subscribe to all 5 reports. CAR, only 20 that subscribe to all 5. And included in that 20 are economists. And why are they subscribing to my report? Because they want to know exactly what he just said. Because there's power to all of them. So my hat's off to him for realizing how great it
I know
is.
that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
My chest a little more puffery now.
Come on, Leslie Appleton Young, she was a subscriber to all 5 reports. He's in that camp. And now
Nice.
he's retired. She just does Orange County, and Jordan Levine has all 5 reports. So Jordan's the chief economist of California Association of Realtors. Now, Lawrence Yoon only subscribes to the Orange County House Report. He's the chief economist of National Association of Realtors. He's missing out, but you know what? He gets an idea, and I've actually helped him in his thinking, because mine are boots in the. I'm meeting with agents and not at this upper echelon level. Who's that? Lansner, Jonathan Lansner. He's a friend of mine, Duck subscriber, talks about bubbles, has this bubble thing. He's had it forever. I hate the term talking about bubbles. That's 3 bubbles. That's 4 bubbles. But that's expecting it. It's not a bubble. It's negative, but it's not a bubble. No. Oh, no. I actually give it to him. He's in the press. He's in the press. He gets mine. Yeah. We've actually had dialogue during COVID. I was so adamant that this thing was not going to turn around that he doesn't really talk to me as much. I get heated. I'll get something for them specifically. And if you guys sign up today, I will make sure that you get the copy of the present. Not only a copy of the presentation, we'll get you a copy of the presentation, but a copy of the latest report today. I have, and my wife works with me, and 2 of my kids work with me just for fun. They do like little things. Yeah. Yeah.
kid on the way. Then the rental market. Selling stuff. So, what do we watch the market? You already said, track out going to the road. So here's the question. At this stage, and do they jump in? If they can't, they got a little bit of cash. Do they jump into the game now? Do they wait a little bit longer to jump in? And they're turning to me for that kind of an advice. So I'm kind of like looping it back to you,
Yeah.
going, what would you tell your own daughter at this point? And the reason I wanted to ask the question is towards the end, you said just this year's appreciation of 8%, probably 7% is going to happen in the first half of the year. So if they wait till those lines start intersecting and there's a little bit more inventory and a little bit higher rate, they're going to be paying more, but they would have missed out on 7% inflation.
Sure. I still think getting in right now is the absolute best thing to do, and then wait for rates to come down and refinance.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. I mean, it's not that hard. I bought my house that I was telling you about, sorry, in October of 2019, I closed. So I closed in October 2019 and then just rode the biggest tsunami that I possibly can. But the thing is I had an interest rate in October 2000. Of course I refinanced. Rates went down to record lows. Same thing. I mean, I told you long-term rates are going to get down into those twos again. When people go, when's that going to happen? I don't know exactly. Definitely
It's kind
within
of
the
a
next
function now
decade.
of what you can buy them.
Yeah. So then I would at least, I would at the very least buy a condo, buy something, and have a piece in something, because that's the biggest thing that they got burned on, is buying and renting on the sidelines. They weren't listening to my podcast or my YouTube thing where I said, if this thing is not going to go down, I had agents tell me it's going to go down 10% in the next 6 months. I'm going, based upon what? You need a glut, an inventory. We don't have any homes coming on the market. So that's what I started tracking immediately how many homes were coming on the market, and there was a real problem. It was inventory is the issue, and inventory is going to be the issue for a long time. And so getting in as soon as you can and waiting for rates. Can rates go up higher? So they get in, let's say rates go up to 4.25% worst case scenario or something like that, right? I have already told you where interest rates going to go. They're going to go back down. And once they go back down, and there's a whole reason, a slew of reasons why interest rates will constantly be low for now on. Yeah, or at least buy rental. Yeah, if they can't find. No, exactly. Or buy a house someplace else that's in the outskirts someplace and rent that one out. Because now you got something that might be able to cash flow pretty fast. Yeah.
One more thing, Stephen. Yeah, I want to point out that when you buy a house, actually, you're paying your mortgage every month, but not all of them is in interest. Half of it, almost half of it, is the principal. So basically, you're saving that every month. So you're paying the half of it.
Yeah, and you gotta cinch your,
notion.
because they made a little bit of an error. They just need to batten down the hatches. I don't know how much more they're making in incomes or anything like that. You gotta figure out the whole entire. You gotta point out all those things that are more obvious that they're not looking at. Because in the last year, I can tell you that there has been definitely wages have come up at a pretty good clip. So you got to look at that as well in talking all about it. And you know what? Sometimes we make errors. I had 6 kids. I was solo with 6 kids. There were some errors along the way in life. That's what happens. We all have our war stories, but that's okay. Those are so that makes us make smarter decisions down the road, but doesn't mean permanently be on the sideline as a buyer. And I know how awful this is. I convinced my hairdresser to the guy that does my hair all the time to purchase December of 2020. I said, dude, you have to get in the very beginning of December. And it took him all the way till May to find something in closed escrow, wrote over 30 offers, I had to keep on getting in his chair. I had to pay him for my hair, and I was counseling him the whole entire time, telling him, keep going, you got this, keep going. And he did, and he purchased, and he's so happy that he did. And he's a dual income millennial, and that's the sweet spot right now. And just got to pull the trigger. He'll be happy that you did. Speaking of millennials.
Yeah.
What's that?
So, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I looked like that at 43. I'm only jealous completely.
It's all good.
I used to have darker hair too, buddy.
It's all good. It's all good. So, in talking with a lot of buyers, they have a lot of, they're motivated by what I've been noticing is either fear or
Right. That's the thing. Waiting on the sideline for something better to happen, if you have the means to do it, is dumb. It's like trying to time the stock market. It's just dumb. I want to be on Tesla right now and Apple. Anybody else? I want a whole bunch. But some people did it when it was nothing. So you need to get into it right now. And I've got plenty of YouTube things that I just focus on one thing at a time. I know I gave you just like a bunch of information. That's my housing report focuses on one thing at a time. It tells them why they need to purchase right now. It tells them why it won't crash. My reports last year were like a housing crash ? And the answer was no. It was also the wave of foreclosures rely on data, facts, and everything else, and forbearance. I put it all together and talked about why we're not going to have a wave of foreclosures. All these things that people are saying, I tackle them one thing at a time. And I do have the stuff, like I said, on YouTube. They're going to say, yeah, but that was last year. That's why I'm going to start them up again in February and have them again, and then my reports are fresh. It is the latest data. And that's what you got to keep on throwing at them so that they get hammered over the head, because you're not going to be able to convince them. Over time, if they actually read my stuff, if they're interested somewhat, they will read it. They'll refute it at first, and they'll talk about the stuff that they heard over here, this Real Ventures. That's the guy. RE Ventures. That's the guy on YouTube. If they look at Housing Crash, he is on there all over the place. And when that guy talks, he drives me crazy. Sometimes I even post him going, I don't know why I'm spending my time doing this, because he's doing a disservice to the United States. That's it. Doing a service to people in general. He's trying for clicks. So we just got to hammer them over and over again, slowly but surely, until they get it. And you'll get that. And that's what people would say from my thing. They get the dialogue then of how to refute it and know where to pull it. And they save all of my reports so they can go, you need this one, dude. Seriously. We need to watch that. Yeah, it's called the Housing Debrief. I named it Housing Debrief, and I do it. I get about, between all my different channels, get about 3,000 people, maybe 4,000 that watch it. I think I got all the way up to 5,000 or 6,000 total with all the different channels on when I talked about crash. YouTube, yeah. No, my report comes out. No, that hiatus is on the YouTube stuff. The live videos. No, my stuff goes every 2 weeks. There's only been 2 times that I've ever missed it, and that was in 2009 when I had heart surgery and took away my laptop. So I did averages based upon that. So that's my only hole in my data. And no, I'm perfectly fine. I ran a marathon after that. So, but yeah, no, I'm consistent every 2 weeks. If you want to see somebody that's in a habit, it's me. I have habits that are consistent over time. So you'll get it every 2 weeks. Like clockwork. Except for if you're in Orange County and Los Angeles, they had to wait a day because I was with my wife over the weekend. And I'm saying I didn't get in the house report on Monday. I got to them on Tuesday. No. I sent out something at the end of last week. If they're an Orange County or Los Angeles County subscriber, that told them to wait till Tuesday. I still had some people go, when's this thing coming out? Still did. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you so much. Sorry it was so long, but
Good information. Yeah, so I basically, so what I did is I told everyone who's on Zoom as well to email me. I put my email in the chat box, briane@kw.com, to keep it simple. And I'll send it over to Stephen if you want his 1 month free subscription deal.
yeah, that sounds good.
So
We can
that
get 'em
way we
hooked up
get that
one-
hooked up.
yeah.
So,
For sure.
all right, was this helpful? Good? Awesome. Yeah, I know Stephen brings it, so appreciate you.
Right on,
All
buddy.
right, and everybody, I think we have lunch. If we don't, then blame Stephen. It's all gone. All right, everybody, be well. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you all for joining on Zoom. And looking forward to our next event. Take care.